So quickly, let's go through the combination of adult and embryologic cardiac structures. When I am a blood vessel, or when I'm a blood cell returning to the heart, I'm going to enter my right atrium. The posterior and anterior walls looked different because our posterior wall is smooth and made from the sinus venerum. Our anterior wall and our auricle are rough because they're named the pectinate muscles, and these are from the primitive atrium. In the last video, I didn't mention it, but there is a ridge in between the smooth and rough portions of our right atrium. You can't see it very well on this model, but it's known as the crista terminalis. As we move from our right atrium to our right ventricle, we're going to see these big old meat struts, our trabeculae carnae. If the pectinate muscles came from our primitive atrium, then our trabeculae carnae come from our primitive ventricles. Again, we're going to see these guys, our papillary muscles, as well as our chordae tendineae. And what valve? The tricuspid valve. As we move from the ventricles towards our valve, towards our semilunar valve, we're going to encounter this smooth outflow portion. Whenever you hear the word smooth outflow, what are you supposed to think of? The bulbous cordis. On our right side, this is our Harry Potter version of the bulbous cordis. It's our truncus arteriosus. Okay? Truncus arteriosus. Conus arteriosus. I'm so sorry. Conus arteriosus. Because technically it should have a cone shape, but it doesn't. It's fine. Now we go to the lungs, we come back, we are headed towards our left atrium, and our left sinus venosus made what? The right sinus venosus made the posterior smooth wall of our right atrium, but the left sinus venosus is going to make this coronary sinus, okay? Where does the coronary sinus dump into? The posterior smooth wall of the right atrium. So same structures embryologically, they're connected back in the day and they're connected now in the adult. So what makes the smooth section of this left atrium? These are going to be from pulmonary veins, but you don't really need to worry about that, so forget it. We do, however, have pectinate on this side. Where do we find it? Again, the pectinate is in our auricle. Pectinate was from what thing? The primitive atrium. All right, now let's move into our left ventricle. Again, we are going to see the trabeculae carnae, which are from what? The primitive ventricle. You're going to have your papillary muscle, chordae tendineae, bicuspid valve. Okay? After the primitive ventricle, what was the next section? It was our bulbous cordis. And what was the key word for bulbous cordis? Smooth outflow. Okay? What's the name of the smooth outflow portion on this side? This is our intermediate / entryway area before the aorta. So we're going to call it our aortic vestibule. Aortic vestibule. When the heart started to get very heavy at the junction between the bulbous cordis and the primitive ventricle, we formed the bulboventricular loop. When this happened, what happened to our inflow? The inflow moved posteriorly. So all of our inflow is on the posterior side of the heart, okay? Which means that outflow is anterior. Cool? Let's see if we can actually take this apart. Doesn't quite divide into inflow, outflow, but that's okay. Never mind. All right, there you go.